Hi, Yomi Lover here, and I just wanted to talk about a movie that I saw last week with someone that I care about. But before that, I want to talk about Argyle. The reviews for Argyle came in, and a lot of people said it's a bomb, that it tanked. The only person who liked it was Hideo Kojima, which is actually a win for me, but, I mean, there were a few people that said that the movie reminded them of The Long Kiss Goodnight, where, a woman discovers she's a spy in her previous life, and they were just copying from that. And a lot of people also pointed out that they're ripping off Jason Bourne and stuff. But you know what? I'm gonna hold steadfast to my argument that Argyle is still objectively a good film. But it's not, blow me out of the water amazing, and a lot of people said it was predictable. But I'm gonna hold true to my review. Anyways, I want to talk about a new movie, Lisa Frankenstein. I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. It was a horror comedy, and it's kind of in the same vein as Warm Bodies, but honestly, it's got this 80s camp, kind of this, how Tim Burton kind of directed Edward Scissorhands? It's kind of in the same vein of that, zany and weird, kind of, how can I say this, kind of gothic feel to it, but it's set in the 1980s. Anyways, I'm gonna say this right now. Spoilers for this movie. Don't go take your kid to watch this, okay? This is better enjoyed if you're like a teenage girl, okay? And this is obviously targeted towards teenage girls. You're gonna enjoy this if you're bringing, someone like a friend from, high school or something. That's all I can say. The target audience is that. And this movie is pretty funny. It's really funny. I found myself laughing in the theater at a couple of scenes, a couple of parts, and, that's really hard to do. I haven't laughed this hard since Tropic Thunder, but, this movie was actually decent. It's not, it's not for decency, or decent, decent people, you know what I mean? It's just if you're probably a fan of Tim Burton, you should probably watch this, but, if you're not, you're gonna be like, it's not for me, it's not for me. Anyways, but I'm gonna get into what happens in the movie. So, we open with our character Lisa, who is a teenage girl recovering from the death of her mother, and she's played by Catherine Newton. And we open with her basically getting groped at a party, and she tries to get away from the guy and ends up in the cemetery somehow and then back at her house. And the monster is played by Cole Sprouse, who was in The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I don't think I know him for anything else, but he rocks it as the monster. It's actually pretty funny. The scenes in this movie are amazing with him. And he just, plays up the role to a T. Anyways, so a bolt of lightning brings the monster to life. It's speculated that witches brought him back to life, but we don't really get elaboration on the witch kind of subplot, and the movie doesn't explore it, so I guess it was just a bolt of lightning that brought him to life. So we're just gonna assume that. This movie has no relation to the book Frankenstein, so don't go in thinking that you're gonna get Mary Shelley's, amazing writing in this movie. It's very much 80s camp. So, and it is set in the 80s, so, there you go. But, basically, Lisa and the monster are in a kind of loving relationship, She said one time when she was at his grave that she wanted to be with him forever. And the monster took that literally, and then when she realizes, oh, it's a dead guy, I don't want to do this. But that soon changes throughout the movie. She has a sister, and she has a stepmother, and her stepmother hates her, and wants to send her to an insane asylum. So her and the monster go on, a killing spree, and then Lisa turns out to be a psychopath. And then, this movie is very reflective of, it kind of takes that whole female trope, because Lisa turns out to be the monster in this movie. Because she's going on a killing spree, and she just enjoys killing people. Which is just, yeah, that's not typical of a female protagonist, but, that's her character. And honestly, there's a lot of charm to the relationship. But, you know, this movie gets wild at times. I'm just gonna say it right now. There's a scene where the monster cuts a guy's dick off, and, you know, they just play it up for laughs, like it's played up for comedic value. And there's a few scenes in this movie where the monster just kills people. Okay, so the reason they're killing people is to give body parts to the monster, and honestly, it's kind of played up for laughs. And, I mean, that's kind of gruesome to say, but that's what this movie does. And, you know, at the end of the movie, Lisa just decides to... Oh yeah, how they bring him to life, or how they start rejuvenating the monster, is they start using her sister's tanning bed, which electrocutes people at high voltage. So they just start using the high voltage from the tanning bed to, you know, spruce the monster up, and he starts looking youthful again. You know, he starts looking more alive every time he uses the tanning bed. So that's played for comedic effect. That's very 80s camp. That's why I said this movie was kind of in the same vein as a Tim Burton movie, but it's not a Tim Burton movie. It kind of wants to be a Tim Burton movie, but it's not. So don't go in expecting Tim Burton, but expect something like Tim Burton-esque. So, anyways, they stop killing people only when her sister finds out that the monster and her have been killing people. You know, they killed her stepmother, and they killed a guy for his hand, and then they killed, you know, the guy that her sister was sleeping with because Lisa liked the guy, and the guy ended up sleeping with her sister. And the monster, and like, this is entirely the monster's fault. The monster just kills him, which is just like, okay, that happened. This is a movie that's like, okay, that happened moments throughout the movie. But it doesn't take away from the comedy. Like, this movie has to be sat down to be enjoyed, but if you're a person of, how can I say this, decent upbringing, and you don't like that stuff, don't watch this movie. You know, it's not made for you. It was made for edgy teenage girls, obviously. But it was still enjoyable. I mean, I found myself laughing. And, let's see, what else? Yeah, in the end, Lisa ends up just killing herself in the tanning bed, and they end up going to, I don't know, it's speculated that Lisa was buried, but, you know, her sister and her dad are just, you know, they visit her grave, and it says loving mother, or loving wife on it. Not mother, wife. But, I mean, and then we see Lisa with the monster in the end, and I guess she became a living dead person in the end. So, you know, like I said, this movie's very, you know, kind of intricate in saying that, you know, Lisa's the monster, not the monster. But, I mean, this movie had a certain charm to it. I'm gonna say, I had a great time watching it. But, I mean, no one's really talking about it, so, you know, consider this review me putting my 2 cents in on a movie that no one's talking about. But it is funny, and it's out in theaters right now. So, if you want to go see a horror comedy, this is the movie for you. I might make a review on Dune Part 2, but that's if I go watch the movie. But I have to pace myself because I am currently nursing a really damaged ankle that I got on a hiking trip. So, you know, I might not be able to make it to the theater until next week. So, you know, that's it for this review. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.